What's up everyone? Taking you through another exercise for hip impingement. Today we're gonna add a little bit of a band to distract the front of the hip. You can think that when you're lifting this up and you're getting a little bit of a pinch there, we can add the band to kind of distract that area and kind of open it up so that it actually closes a little bit more efficiently. Now, if you're having a lot of it in the front of the hip and the inside, then you might want to think about having the band pull you laterally. So think that the femur's going this way, the band pulls it that way, you get a little bit more space. If your pinch feels like it's a little bit more at just the front of the hip but not the groin, then maybe you want to think about having the band set up below you. So I would either bring this all the way to the left and it would just be pulling straight down, or I could even put something very heavy under me. I could also put it under my foot so that it just drives straight down. We're going to show you the one that's a little bit more popular, or maybe a little bit more of a sure thing for most of our viewers, which is going to be down and out. I just set up with something. How do you know the height of the box? Well, if I'm pinching right here, then the box is probably too high, unless I put the band on and then the pinch goes away. If you lift here and that pinch hurts, then you got to get a smaller box. So you can essentially just say, all right, well, oh, hurts there, doesn't hurt here. This is where I'm going to work today. Over time, as this improves, you want to be able to get all the way up here, both passively and actively being able to hold, feeling hip flexor work without any pinching. So here we go. We put this in here. You're going to go ahead and loop it around. We want to try to get it really close to our groin and really close to the front of the hip where it needs to pull down. So as soon as I set that up, I'll even move forward a little bit. That way the band distraction is A, pulling down, and B, pulling out. So from here, it should feel like no pinching in the front. If you feel a stretch in the back, that's fine. Because the band's pulling you down, you're probably gonna feel the back of your hip working because it's resisting, otherwise I'll just kind of fall. So pushing through your foot naturally, just like feeling it wanting to, is normal as well. And all I want you to do is stay here for 2 minutes. We're gonna kind of speed through it so you're not just watching me sit here for 2 minutes, but just assume that I was here for 2 minutes in the ideal world for you. Taking some good breaths, long exhales, thinking about kind of relaxing anything in the front of the hip that would be pinching so that it can let go and create space for you to get a little bit further. You can do some grooving too, meaning just kind of go forward and back. We can also turn right a little bit, see if that moves. Very similar to our pelvic magic stuff, just getting things moving in this area so that you have options that don't lead to pinching. So say that I've been here for 2 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and hold on to something, make sure I'm nice and stable. This is not balancing at all. I have no issues with balance in this position. I'm gonna create a little bit of tension and I'm gonna start driving my foot down into whatever my foot is on. As I drive my foot down, I wanna consciously think, can I feel the back of my hip working? Can I feel my glute working? Can I feel my hamstring? Anything in the back is fair game. Your calf is good too. It's not the end of the world if you feel your quad, but I really want you to think about pushing down and getting the back of the hip. For the people that have hip impingement or just struggle with hip flexion in general, it should be kind of hard to contract really strongly the back side of your hip here because you're not used to really being this deep into hip flexion and being strong here. So that's what we're doing. Imagine your foot's on a scale. Every second it gets a little bit heavier until you reach your maximum effort. So squeezing as hard as I can, working as hard as I can, pushing straight down. I'm gonna hold my max effort for 10 seconds, 10, 9. This process should be around 30 seconds to contract. 3, 2, 1, let go, relax, take a couple of breaths, long relaxed exhales, kind of let the band pull this open even more. And you're gonna go ahead and repeat that for about 2 to 3 rounds. Pushing down is called the Pal's contraction, it's an isometric. You shouldn't really move too much, but you should feel the backside of your hip working. Do that a few times, 2 to 3 reps with a couple of breaths in between each rep, relaxing. Take that off, and then you're gonna come up and you're gonna say, ooh, wow, that feels better. I got a little bit more space. Now, the next way to be able to save that space would be to add the rails. So you're really working on the regressive tissue, fancy way of saying just using the other side of the joint. So what I can do is I can just do kind of like a machine gun round, push down for 10 seconds, 10, 9, 8. After I'm done with that 10 seconds, without leaning back or changing anything, I can lift, hold, no pinch here, just feel your hip flexor cramping, which is fine. It'll probably feel like that. And then place it down. I do that for 10 seconds and just keep knocking those out one after another, down, up, down, up. You're probably gonna cramp out. That's okay, get back into it. Your hip flexor is getting used to working in this position. After that, you can go ahead and add squats. Still going to where it's pinch free, but control the way down, owning that hip flexion, do lunges, do all of the great strength stuff that's now available to you in that extra range, and just go slow and control it. And that's how you're gonna be able to save that work that we did in the beginning with the band, because what will happen is if you don't do that, meaning you don't add the strength training, you don't add the time under tension, you just do the banded distraction for 30 seconds, your hip's gonna forget about that in 10 seconds. It's definitely not gonna remember it the next day. And until you do that strength work in there the next week, it's gonna have no shot at remembering it. So you wanna have that full process to relieving this and making it a thing of the past by simply layering strength and control on top of it. If you have any questions about that, please let us know. Remember, this is part of a full blog, so read that. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe.